Hello there guys, Alex here, bringing you part 13 of What If Deku was the reincarnation of Link. So, before I continue, I do want to mention real quick, I'm very sorry for the hectic schedule, no uploads for almost 2 or 3 weeks. I'm terribly sorry. I just found a job and, you know, I'm basically already an adult. I have my own expenses. And again, I've invested some of my own money into this, and thanks to y'all and your support on Patreon, I've been able to buy a lot of equipment, and also I asked for a loan of my family member, and anyways, in regards to that, yeah, I'll see what we're gonna upload. Right now, most probably, I have not finished the script for What If Deku was Recovery Girl's grandson. I only have 1,000 and some odd words in it. I'm very sorry. And I'm not very punny as Ed, but in this case, I'll see if he can add his own little humor to it. I'm just doing the narration basically. And also, most likely next part might be uploaded. I don't know what's going to be uploaded. I need to also make assets for some videos, so it is going to take some time, and with my limited time, with going back and forth, transportation, work, all that, drains the fun out of anything. Yeah, I'm gonna make you guys wait. I'm sorry, and I do have some commission work that I need to finish as well. But in any case, before I continue, I really also want to mention this as well. A word from our sponsor, Beautiful Halo. Beautiful Halo is an online clothing store with over a bunch of clothing and anime merch from your favorite anime series like My Hero Academia, Naruto, One Piece, Haikyuu, with designs ranging from My Hero Academia's hero outfits like Deku's, Bakugo's, or Todoroki's, and much, much more. To get a discount with them, click the link in the description and put meme or memes for either a 5 or 10% off on your next order. And without further ado, let's begin. Two Heroes, Part 3. Where we last left off, Izuku and the rest battled an army of mini guardians, and once they were done, everybody arrived at the scene. On the 80th floor, a loud noise interrupted the group, and something fell from the ceiling, making a big dust cloud cover the entire thing. Nobody could have made out what it was, but the only thing visible was a glow mechanical eye as it turned to where the students were and fired a laser beam directly towards them. But Izuku stood in the way of the beam, and he parried it with the plasma shield, sending the beam away from the group, but breaking the shield in the process. Izuku saying, "Oh great, now what the hell is that?" Griselda saying, "For the love of Nehru, don't tell me." Pura saying, "Sorry to break it to you, but indeed it is. It's a full-size and fully operational guardian that we were working on, but how?" Izuku, thinking on what to do, would say, "I guess it doesn't matter how. Momo, I need you to make me a shield as strong as possible, ASAP." Momo saying, "I need some time to do so." Izuku saying, "Fine, I'll buy you some time. All of you get to safety." Katsumi saying, "Izuku, no, don't you dare." Izuku saying, "Kachan, please go. Go with the others. I'll hold this thing at bay. We need to get to the top floor as quick as possible. I'll be right behind you." Pura saying, "Hey, hero of legend, what's wrong with your sword?" Izuku saying, "What? What do you mean?" Izuku blocked an incoming attack from one of the Guardian's legs with the Master Sword, noticing the glow it has. While Izuku went and distracted the Guardian, the Gen made it onto higher ground, dragging Katsumi with them. Zelda saying, "Pura, tell me, how many of those Guardians did you guys make?" Pura, rubbing the back of her head, would say, I'd say 4 or 5 total." Griselda, face palming and being agitated, would say, "Didn't you guys consider that they could have taken over the same way it happened 5,000 years ago?" Pura saying, "What do you mean?" Griselda saying, "Look, haven't you noticed that the Guardian has a red and bluish color scheme, unlike the Sheikah State, which is orange and blue." Pura saying, now that you mention it, I thought it was supposed to have the color scheme, but
more importantly, why is the Master Sword glowing like that? Griselda saying, because that is why it's called the Blade of Evil's Bane. Whenever there's malice near it, the Master Sword reacts to it, thus making the blade stronger and decimate the source of the malice. Katsumi saying, Griselda, what does that mean? Griselda saying, it means whoever the mastermind is, it means big trouble for us. As they bickered, Momo finally made the shield. Similar to the Hylian shield, Momo gave Izuku a heads up and tossed it to him. But as soon as he did, 2 more guardians appeared, making it even more difficult for Izuku. Izuku tried his best to take care of all 3, but he found himself always being intercepted by one of the guardians, making it almost impossible to hit a guardian without another intervening. Izuku managed to get some hits in and severing some of their limbs, making a loud noise every time he did so. It arrived to a point where Izuku was more fatigued than anything else, and still seeing the gang with the corner of his eye, which made him lose his focus, and all 3 guardians shot their beams, hitting Izuku head on. Katsumi watching Izuku get shot and now on the ground, everyone there were shocked, as everyone said their thoughts out loud. Griselda tearing up saying, Link, no! Katsumi tearing up and popping to her knees saying, Izuku, no! Jiro pulling onto Katsumi saying, Katsumi, look! Katsumi crying saying, at what? A green flame taking a shape of a Zora swirled around him, and all of his injuries were healed, shocking everybody there, but Mipha in particular. Izuku slowly got up as the guardians were in position to fire once more, but Izuku kneeled and a gust of wind started to pick up, and it got more intense as 3 small flames started to swirl around Izuku. Izuku jumped and it made an updraft as a shape of a Rito flew around him. As he went upwards and fading, it seemed that he was hovering in midair. The guardians followed their target as he was seemingly helpless in the air, and the 3 shot their lasers, but Izuku parried all 3 at once, sending their lasers back at them, and destroying them in the process, leaving a worn-out Izuku in the process as the glow of the Master Sword dissipated. During the entire fight, Mineta actually did his shtick of climbing from outside and lowering the ladder. They all rushed to Izuku to see how he was doing. Katsumi and Griselda simultaneously hit Izuku in the head. Griselda and Katsumi simultaneously saying, how could he be so reckless? The 2 girls look at each other and they started to bicker. Izuku saying, please, now it's not the time. We need to get to the top. Katsumi saying, yeah, I think that can wait. What in the name of hell happened? You got shot head on, your clothes are a mess, but you got no wounds. Explain now. Kirishima saying, yeah bro, I thought you were quirkless, but you seem to have more quirks than any of us here. Mipha saying, indeed, I saw a figure of a Zora that was healing you. So tell me how. Izuku saying, I don't know how to explain this. Mipha saying, then I guess I'd have to ask Gramps once this is over. Momo saying, don't you think that he used something that he already had in his previous life or something? I mean, we saw the video of this Link person doing weird stuff, so I'm guessing that he kept some of them? Griselda sighing, saying, if only you knew how weird he was. Momo saying, what was that? Griselda saying, nothing, we should get going. Pura fidgeted with the Sheikah slate so that they could find a fast route to the top floor, and then they started on their course. The group went on and on, closer to the top, but at every turn the mini guardians showed their wicked heads, and at every turn they managed to take care of them fairly easy. After some time and mini guardians destroyed, they've reached the top only to find a scene where Sam, the assistant of both Professor Shield and Professor Sheikah, revealed to have tricked the 2 professors and having a weird gadget in his hand, with the 3 arguing. David saying, Sam, put that thing back. Sam saying, no. Robert saying, please Sam, put that thing away. Sam desperate saying, no, I was the one who found it. Why am I getting the recognition I deserve? David saying, what, that, you did all this for some recognition? Sam losing his mind, just some recognition? Do you guys know how it's like to be completely overshadowed by people you consider family, as they act like it's normal to overshadow people that worked hard and get their credit because their own credit isn't enough. Huh? David saying, but we... A man popping out of nowhere threw a dagger to David and Robert Slims, immobilizing the two. As the person would say, finally, you stop with your yapping. I was getting bored over here. The two looked in the direction of the noise, only to reveal a weird-looking man. As Sam would say, Lord Giraham, I did as you requested. Giraham, throwing a dagger in Sam's arm, would say, remember your place, peasant. You are late, and you know what happens when someone is late. Sam panicking, saying, no, please, I got what you asked for, and... Unfortunately for Sam, Giraham killed him on the spot, which enraged the two scientists, and as Giraham turned to them with the intent of striking them down, Izuku appeared, Master Sword drawn, and a shield made by Momo in the other hand. Giraham saying, my, if it isn't the Sky Child. It has been so long. Are you here to interfere with my plans once again? Izuku simply gritted his teeth. Giraham saying, well, I'll take that as a yes, but unfortunately for you, you'll face this. Giraham made a giant corpse appear, and then with the thing he had in his hand, the corpse was revived while wielding a massive plasma weapon, an ancient weapon. Giraham saying, I present to you Fire Blight Ganon. Make sure that you put on a show to entertain me, Sky Child. Izuku took his stance, and the Master Sword emitted the same blue light, and their fight commenced. As Izuku was occupied with the Blight Ganon, the two professors made their escape, reuniting with their daughters and the rest of Class 1A students present, and told them what was going on. David and Robert went and deactivated the security system so that they can receive help from the other heroes that were stuck at the party. Thus, the heroes were freed. The fight between Izuku and the Fire Blight Ganon raged on. Katsumi was getting impatient, for she wanted to help, but the rest of the students knew that if they were to interfere, they were outmatched, until Izuku was sent crashing in their direction, as he once again without a shield. Katsumi saying, Izuku, are you okay? Izuku sarcastically and panting would say, yeah, I'm having a blast right now. Can you see? Katsumi jabbing him, saying, okay, I get it. I didn't need that attitude, jeez. Izuku saying, As Fi, speaking from within the sword, would say, Master, enemy analysis complete. Izuku saying, what? I didn't realize. Fi saying, Master, this is known as a Fire Blight Ganon. According to my records, this creature was the cause of the loss of the Ganon's champion, Daruk, over 5,000 years ago, and its known weaknesses are his eyes and explosions from within the dome it creates when it's about to be defeated, and being vulnerable to the Master Sword for the presence of malice and ancient weapons. Due to it being made out of the same material, I suggest you use a bow with ancient arrows and bombs for a successful victory. Izuku had no time to ponder, for the Blight Ganon wasn't easing up on Izuku. Luckily, Katsumi heard everything, and she told Pura and Melissa on what Fi was referring to. With more time passing, Momo successfully made a bow with the sets of arrows, with Pura providing the ancient daggers that was kept in the safe on the top floor where the quirking Hansen gadget was. Then were attached to the arrows, but they didn't know about the bombing part. Katsumi did volunteer to be the one doing the detonations, but after some convincing on Griselda's part, the Sheikah Slate was the obvious answer, which left Katsumi with the pouty face. The group called for Izuku's attention so that he could take the stud he needed and take care of the Blight, but he was engulfed by the fire caused by the Blight, making them regret their decision as they were worried for Izuku's safety. As Giraham would say, oh well, you put up a good fight, but I guess he's nothing compared to the original Sky Child. What a shame. I was hoping for him to beat this thing, so I could have a turn at him. But I guess a cheap imitation will always be embarrassment to the original. Shoto tried to freeze the flames, but instead, Shoto's ice was melted almost immediately. All of the students were about to lose whatever hope they had in seeing their classmates in one piece until a "yeah" was heard, and that got everyone's attention. From within the flames, the blue light of the Master Sword was glowing brighter by the second, and the blazing flames that swallowed Izuku was now turning into a swirling tower of flames that broke through the roof of the room they were at. And then the flames dissipated, revealing Izuku in a position with a determined look on his face, and surprisingly, not burnt to a crisp. Ham, surprised, would say, "Oh my, it seems you managed to survive without a burn mark or singeing your clothes. I must say, I underestimated you." Izuku saying, "Why are you doing this?" Giraham chuckling, saying, "Oh, that's for me to know and for you to find out. But do you think you have the luxury to ask questions? Don't you have something else you should pay attention to?" Izuku was confused, and before he realized it, the blight slammed Izuku into the ground, but it was met with a weird-looking barrier, which parried the incoming attack, which staggered the blight and giving Izuku the chance to back off. Izuku was trying to find a way to defeat the blight, and luckily for him, the others managed to get Izuku's attention, and Katsumi did the honors. She threw the bow and arrows at Izuku so that he could use them, while Izuku put away the Master Sword and caught the items, and now Izuku was ready. The fight with the blight went on for a while, and it ended with Izuku winning. Everyone that watched the fight was impressed with Izuku's skill, but Giraham was grinning. When everyone seemed back to normal, Giraham separated Izuku from the group by a wall of weird-looking flames that surrounded Izuku and Giraham. Giraham taking off his cloak, saying, "Since you defeated that puppet, why don't you take me for a spin? And with that wall surrounding us, nothing can interfere. It's just me and you, while the rest are forced to watch how badly I kill you. Don't get your hopes up, though. Neither that sword nor Goddess Hyla herself will be able to save you now, Sky Child." Izuku had no time to speak, for he was about to meet with the edge of Giraham's blade. The duel between the two was going on and on. All Might made his way to the top, only to see Izuku and Giraham having a duel to the death. But with Izuku being more injured after a brief moment, the clunk between the two swords clashing was heard, and then the Master Sword was implanted into the ground behind Izuku, while Giraham was pointing his sword to his throat, leaving everyone on the edge. Giraham saying, "I'm very disappointed. Not even with those gifts of yours, you were able to land a single hit on me. The Sky Child I met eons ago was better than you. Now I guess it's time to end you, so you wouldn't interfere with my plans." But before Giraham could finish Izuku, Giraham started to laugh, catching everyone else off guard. Giraham saying, "Ha, so it's you. You have it. I should have expected that from the beginning." As he would start pulling his sword away from him, saying, "Although I wish to kill you, if I were to do that now, it'll just complicate things in the long run. Well, I got what I came here for." Showing off an object. "Until we meet again, Sky Child." Then Giraham disappeared into thin air. With Giraham gone, his barrier was gone too, and then Katsumi rushed to Izuku's side, hugging him tightly, while cursing him for being so reckless, and Griselda, now wanting to be left out or outdone by Katsumi, she too hugged Izuku, which made it a bit awkward with the two girls bickering among themselves and Mineta jealous of Izuku, and everything ending similar to the movie as they wonder why did he spare Izuku. Come on, it's not similar to the movie yet, what the fuck. End of the Two Heroes movie. Back to the main story. After the events of the Two Heroes movie, everyone has a sense of normality again. With all that happened on Island, Izuku changed his Neo name from Hikari to Link, for he couldn't avoid the name any longer. For the fact of Sidon calling him Link, and now Izuku can't get rid of the name, so he embraced it. The events of the Hero Killer Stain and during Ingenium happened while Class 1A was at Island, and Ida would be more devastated, and the start of the internship begins. Everyone goes to their respective agencies, as in the anime. For the exception of Shoto, he goes to Gran Torino, and Izuku, he goes to Sir Night-Eye. In Sir Night-Eye's office, Sir was disappointed in Izuku, or rather his personality, and realized he had nothing to offer Izuku. Night-Eye saying, "Midoriya, I think I've made a mistake on making you intern here." Izuku saying, "Why, am I not good?" Night-Eye saying, "In terms of skill, there's nothing that I can teach you, or be of any use to you. My apologies." Izuku saying, "What do you mean by that?" Night-Eye saying, "In layman's terms, I sent you the internship for the fact of All Might asking me personally, and I was curious to see the famous, legendary hero incarnated. But I'm unsatisfied with your personality because it's too serious for what I had in mind, and I simply wasted your time." Izuku saying, "But what am I going to do now? Isn't there anything you can teach me?" Night-Eye saying, "I'm afraid not. But isn't there some place else you would want to go? Because I could put in a good word and explain that there was a mistake on my end, and you could go to a different agency." Izuku, thinking for a bit, would say, "Actually, there is a place I would like to go, but there's no need for paperwork. I just need to be given the okay to go." Night-Eye saying, "In that case, do what you must." After some paperwork and permission by Nezu and other stuff along the way, Izuku made his way to the Lost Woods to find the person that can help him the most, Hero Shade. The events of the scene arc happen in the background. Izuku walks to the Hero Shade's resting place as Izuku is attacked by the Golden Wolf. His training with Hero Shade in Izuku's mindscape commenced. During this time, Izuku faces old bosses that Link faced from the various titles from the child timeline, so Izuku can build up his courage to face future enemies that might look intimidating. After some time, his training with Hero Shade was over. Hero Shade saying, "I must say, we're almost done with your training, young hero. At this rate, you'll be able to face whatever comes your way. But now, it's time for you to go. Until we meet again, young hero." Izuku nodded at Hero Shade, and as the mindscape vanished, his eyes opened. Izuku checked his phone, only to see 50 missed calls, 80 unread messages. They were all from Katsumi, a few from Griselda, and one from an unknown number. And the time read 9:43 a.m. Izuku realized that he was late for school. Izuku whistled, and the Crimson Loftwing flew down and picked Izuku up, and he headed to UA. On his way to class, he read those unread messages, and once he arrived in class, nobody was uttering a sound. It was just silence. The atmosphere in the classroom wasn't the usual one. Izuku scrolled down all of his unread messages until there was one message that stood out. He read it, and now he knew what happened while he was training. And to be continued. So, I hope you guys like this part. In this case, I might not edit this video because it's a little too much, and I really didn't like this what if to begin with. This is all that, to be real completely honest with you guys. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out. Probably it's iffy, I'll be real honest with you. But I'll see if I can try. I don't swear or promise anything, not in this one at least. But in any case, I'll see what I can upload. Probably either the Archer, what if Deku had the Archer class card, or what if Deku was Recovery Girl's grandson. Regardless, I need to make more assets for those videos, so please be patient for them. And thank you to my Patreon supporters, Will Finister, Michelle, Cameron Doyle, Joseph Thomas, Pink Saver, John Miller, and Supreme Spider-Man 578. Thank you for supporting the channel, and again, without you guys, I really wouldn't have gotten where I wouldn't be able to, get the equipment I needed for the little studio booth I'm basically making, and also, that little loan I asked. But in any case, I hope you guys have, like the video, and hope you have a good day or good night. Peace.